Since pretty much the beginning of mankind, men have been attracted to females based on their appearance or physical beauty, and females have been attracted to men based primarily on their behavior. But something that they never tell you is that every person is different, so some girls will trip over themselves for a man who opens doors for them, while others will run away. But according to science, there are a few primal behaviors that any man can do to become nearly irresistible. And as men, when it comes to increasing our attractiveness or our value in terms of how others view us, we plan not for the exception, but for the expected. And first up on the list is a little something called chivalry. And chivalry is doing things like holding doors open for people, and contrary to what many people think, holding a door open for somebody does not make that person look weak. In fact, it tends to have the opposite effect. According to science, on a primal level, females cannot help but be attracted to a man who makes them feel safe. And as it turns out, things like holding a door open or pulling out a chair for her are in fact things that make her feel safe. But as always, it is not what you do, but it is how and how often you do it. Holding a door open for her or doing something similar once every few times you have an opportunity to do so is definitely a good thing. But doing these things every single time the opportunity arises can begin to work against you. Now, another reason why chivalry works out so great for men is because on a primal level, we as men are wired to be protectors. So we absolutely love it when we get a chance to play the role of the protector for a girl that we like, or even just for random strangers. Now, next up is the second primal behavior that makes men nearly irresistible. And surprise, surprise, it is eye contact. But it's not just eye contact, it is the way that you use it. In the world today, how many of us are constantly looking down at our phones pretty much every second of the day? How many of us look around at everything except the person that we are talking to? Science has revealed, in fact, that actually making and sustaining eye contact with a female is the most attractive behavior that a man can do. So it is no surprise that men who aren't the best at this tend to have the most trouble getting the attention and respect from the girls that they like. Now, ironically, eye contact is also the easiest behavior to do, but it tends to be the one that men seem to have the most trouble with. Now, next up is the third primal behavior that makes men nearly irresistible, and it is competence. Something that we all strive for as men is to be good at something, or even to be good at a lot of things. One of the greatest triggers for attraction that a man can have is being competent, or being really good at something. This is the reason why men who play professional sports tend to be exceptionally attractive, even if you subtracted the millions of dollars that most of them tend to make every year from playing these sports. On a primal level, females are attracted to men who demonstrate that they have what it takes to succeed, and being really good at something, especially if it's something like a high-paying career, is one of the best ways that you can make yourself an incredibly irresistible man. Next up at number 4 is the fourth primal behavior that gives men an unfair advantage when it comes to attractiveness, and it's leading. In case you didn't know, most of the people in the world are actually followers, and it has to be this way because if there weren't any followers, there would be nobody to lead. But leading doesn't always mean what you might think it means. On a primal level, females find men who take the lead irresistible because this behavior shows that a man is not passive in both his life and in his everyday situations. Men who are not afraid to step out into the unknown when everybody around them is, have an incredible advantage when it comes to overall attractiveness, and taking charge or taking the lead is one of the most attractive things that we can possibly do as men. And next up at number 5 is the fifth primal behavior that makes men nearly irresistible, and it is taking calculated risks. Our entire society is based on taking risks, and they always say that with no risk, there can be no reward. And on a primal level, men who take risks are viewed more favorably by females because they are more likely to be successful in acquiring resources, which is pretty much just another name for money. Every decision that we make tends to have some inherent amount of risk hidden within it, and it is our job as men to determine if the risk is worth the potential reward before we take it. When I go and play a slot machine, I know that every single time that I spin the reels, I am taking a small risk for a potential reward. So on the surface, this seems like a good choice. And this is exactly what casinos want you to believe. So in this example, when you consider the fact that the odds are already heavily stacked against you by the house each time you spin the reels, then it becomes obvious that the risk is really not worth the reward, at least if you're playing the game seriously. Men with great value understand when it is important to take risks, and they are not afraid to take them. Showing a girl that you like her in a direct way does carry some risk, but it also has the potential for a far greater reward. Irresistible men know when to take risks and they are not afraid to take them. Now next up is the 6th primal behavior that makes a man nearly irresistible, and it is a little something called dominance. Since the earliest civilizations, when we had kings and pharaohs, one of the most sought after trait that a man could possibly have was dominance. And today, this is still one of the most attractive things that a man can possess. And dominance is simply power and influence over other people, but it can even be something as simple as having dominance over yourself. Many would argue that having discipline over your own mind and body is one of the most attractive things that a man can have. Because power over yourself is a path that can lead you to power and influence over others. Because it's only men with great discipline who will ultimately gain dominance over other people, whether it's running a successful business or climbing the ranks in a large company. On a primal level, females are incredibly attracted to men who display dominant behavior because it makes them feel safe and it demonstrates that such a man is likely to accumulate plenty of resources. So for those of you looking for a simple behavior change that you can start making right now, that doesn't involve owning a large company or having a super successful career, one of the most effective things that you can do, or changes that you can make in your behavior, is gaining power and influence over yourself. Meaning you have control over yourself and you're able to show that you're not a slave to the typical desires and impulses that most people fall victim to. These are 6 primal behaviors that can transform any man from unwanted to irresistible. And with that said, until next time, thanks for watching.